Hi, my name is Toomey. I live at 6th Street in East Cambridge. I lived on Bond Lake Street, right behind the Common Library. They always said that Common Library was just a fixture for the neighborhood, and it still is. And I remember going there quite often. My favorite series of books was the Hardy Boy Mysteries, and I couldn't wait for the next edition to come out. But you know, I've spent many hours in the library, and I really helped shape the person who I became today. Most were all Italian, Irish, there was Portuguese, Polish, and every group really had, I always say East Cambridge back then, we had multiculturalism before anybody knew what multiculturalism was. I was a paper boy for the Cambridge Chronicle. There was probably about 10 kids in the neighborhood that had a room on different streets. And that's how I began to meet a lot of people there. And one year there was a contest. If you signed up so many people for subscriptions, you won a trip to New York. And I actually won the trip to New York that year, so I always remember that. So that was my first job as a paper boy for the Cambridge Chronicle. And then during high school and a part of college, I worked at the MIT Coop. Really, I can't think of anything negatively that the city has affected. I think back and trying to transition when my parents and grandparents, as I said, my grandmother worked in the candy factory. Most of the people in the neighborhood worked at either I-Chew, National Casket Company, Leachmere Sales. My mother worked at Leachmere Sales for a number of years. As those jobs have been gone for a number of years, and as Kendall Square sat vacant for a long period of time. But what has happened with the Kendall Square development, Cambridge has certainly become the life science capital of the world. At the time, and the library was actually a voting place for people. There were 5 precincts in each ward then. At election time, when my mother, back then they wrote out envelopes, they did all of that during the campaigns. I remember always going in front of the library, and there would literally be 50 people in front of the stairs throwing out little cards of people as going in to vote and stuff. So that kind of gave me the impetus, I guess the bug, when I saw all that activity going on with the political, how many people were involved. So I served on the school committee for 4 terms, and then in 1989, Mayor Alvalucci, who lived in the eastern part of Cambridge and great advocate of East Cambridge, decided he was not going to run for re-election. So after talking to a few people, they urged me to run for 1989 for the City Council. I ran in 1989. 32 years in the City Council, and I served as state representative for 24 years. I was there to help people, but that was my key known for was the constituent service. A lot of people questioned why I was doing the both jobs, but I thought it was important that at the state level, that they hear it from someone directly that was impacted by state policy on the local level too. So I was one of very few officials that actually held both positions. I think Councilor Sandra Graham years ago, for a brief time, I think she held both positions. It was challenging, there's no question about that. But enjoyable when we were able to accomplish a lot of good things. I remember a woman came to me, she was pregnant and she was having difficulty getting prenatal care. I cut through all the red tape, and several months later, she sent me a thank you note with a picture of the baby. Something like that always stays with you. Just knowing the impact that you've had on somebody's life, getting them into a housing situation, employment, educational.